Hello, I'm Oli. I'm the editor of Eurogamer, and welcome to the first day of Rezzed 2019 and our final developer session of the day. Now, 2019 is a special year for Eurogamer. On the 4th of September this year, we turned 20 years old. 4th September 1999 is the date on the first post on Eurogamer ever, which is a pretty good run for a specialist game site. 1999 was a banner year in pop culture as well. It was the year that we first were introduced to The Matrix and to The Sopranos and to I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys, still a banger. So we thought we'd celebrate in the way that we spend every day in the office, basically by having an argument about games and trying to decide in deathmatch style what the best game of the last 20 years is, or the one that we think is our favorite. We did this panel, or version of it, last week at PAX East. We had 6 panelists then. The games mentioned were Dark Souls, Phoenix Wright, The Sims, Deus Ex, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Shenmue. And we had a bit of an audience contest at the end to see which was most popular. It was really tight, but Zelda Breath of the Wild came through, despite being a really recent game, but it is a pretty amazing game. So I've got a panel of 4 lovely people here who are going to argue this out with me. We've got 5 very different games to talk about today. So let me start by introducing everybody from left to right over there. We've got Konrad Chernik. He's from Techland. He's working on Dying Light 2. Konrad, you had a session earlier today, didn't you, on your game? Did it go all right?
Yes, we had a session about characters today.
Yeah. Then we have Abby Heppy from Media Molecule, working on Dreams. You're showing just a couple of doors down the way.
Yeah, we're neighbors. We're just two doors down. We're doing demos of Create Mode and Dreams all day, and we have it playable there as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it going well? People making cool stuff?
It's really exciting. Early access starts for us in 2 weeks, so on April 16th. So we're in like those final weeks down to launching a game. So it's just really fun to be able to share it and have more of the team out here to like demo it for people and engage with the community. It's awesome.
Awesome. Then we've got Gav Murphy. Gav, formerly of IGN. This last year, you set up your own thing called RKG.
Yeah, this year. We've been going for 3 months.
This year?
Yeah, this year,
days.
man. Yeah. So this 3 months on Sunday. So that's why I've got time to just pop down to this at 5.
About the best games of the last 3 months.
Yeah, I do the best games of the last 3 months.
It's your celebration of your momentous.
Yeah. I can't believe, like, when you invited me on this, and you were like, oh yeah, 20th anniversary, I didn't actually click that it was 1999. And I was like, I was fucking 14, man. That's crazy. Like, I used to absolutely bum Eurogamer when it first started. So I was properly into it. So it's awesome to be on a stage for some reason with a bunch of really interesting people. So that's really good. Thank you very much, Oli.
No worries. And then we have Dan Marshall from Size 5 Games, developer of The Swindle, and you've just announced your new game today, right?
Yeah, Lair of the Clockwork God.
And how's it going?
Yeah, it's gone really well. It's really it's really weird because it's just been a secret ball of anxiety for so long, and to finally have it out and people talking about it and sharing it and saying nice things about it is just a genuine relief.
Hear, hear.
Yours better than Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Definitely, but I wasn't allowed to pick my own thing.
A commenter on Eurogamer did just say that it was evidence of a golden age of gaming.
A golden age of gaming, and it's a nice comment as well.
Yeah.
Which
you hope there's a nice comment.
On Eurogamer.
Yeah, well, yeah.
In 2 months' time, you're going to be lying in bed going, was that a nice comment?
What do you mean golden age?
What prick?
Well, like, Platinum Age is better than Gold Age, isn't it?
All right, let's get stuck in some games. Gav, I'm going to go to you first.
Okay.
What is your pick for the best game since 1999?
Well, like when you said what games have come before, I was like, okay, that's absolutely fine. And I picked the game, which I didn't realize actually at the time that I was picking it. I was like, the first time that I remember playing this game, it was when EGX was still back in Earl's Court. I remember getting like text off like 2 different buddies who were not friends. Nothing happened. They just don't know each other. And 2 different buddies going, you got to come down and play this game, man. Like I wasn't going to EGX that weekend. They were like, you've got to come down and play this game. And it was Hotline Miami, because it was being just demoed to, I think, nobody, essentially, on the show floor of EGX, right?
Hotline Miami.
Because you guys are like a little bit kind of helped launch that game pretty much just by having an EGX.
It was before that EGX, it was at the first Rezzed, which was
Amazing.
in Brighton, which was tiny. Yeah. But it was the one game that everybody was talking about that show.
Yeah.
So the hipster choice, you shock me.
The
Gav.
hipster choice, yeah. Like you might shock you to realize. Like I live like 10 minutes down the road in East London with a dog. But no, like so I came down and I played it, and I remember just being absolutely blown away by, because obviously when you guys have been playing games all day, like when you demo a game at a show, you have no idea what the story is or anything like that. But the thing with Hotline Miami was, one, if you guys know what it is, it's like a top-down sort of, I don't know how you'd explain it, like, I guess like now people will call it like a Twitch thing or something like that. I don't like Twitch shooter, I don't know. Like, but it's basically you're top-down, you're a man, you have to go around kill people with using various different weapons and various different masks which give you different power-ups and things like that. But the game is incredible. Like I couldn't, when I was playing it, since I've had it, I was just obsessed with it. And like I couldn't stop playing with it. But then also, the story is just this bonkers, weird thing that these two brilliant people have made where you have no idea what's going on. I think it was the same year that like Drive came out as well. Yeah. So everybody was properly into like that kind of like neon, like weird kind of like 80s retro thing. And that does it in spades, because the soundtrack is just incredible. The colors are just bonkers, and it's just disgustingly violent. But also has this weird story where you're not quite sure if you should be doing the things that you're doing, like if you are the good guy or the bad guy or anything like that, or what is going on. I started playing it again recently when I was getting ready for this, and I thought like, I just got sucked back in like instantly, where I was like, I could do that better with this mask and this weapon, and then you plan out your sort of routes around the levels and stuff like that. I can't remember being as obsessed with a game like ever, really.
Isn't it kind of annoying though?
It is annoying. It's one of those things like I played it all the way through on PC, and then it got re-released then on PS4 and Vita. And like my Vita, RIP Vita, I love a Vita, but like my Vita became like the Hotline Miami machine essentially, because I was just playing it on that, and it became this thing where like I trying to beat all my scores and also trying to beat all my friends' scores, which I was really good at doing. But then if I saw that somebody else had beaten my score, I'd have to go back and have a go at them. But then it is one of those games that does get annoying, because you play it for a bit. It's one of those things where I'd like put my Vita just in a drawer and be like, right, I'm not going back to that game for a bit now, because it turns me into a person that I don't even know anymore. But I will come back to it.
Some people say that it's got something to say about the violence in it as well. Like it is a super violent game.
It is,
Do you reckon that's fair? Do you reckon it does actually come down?
I think that it does, but I'm not clever enough to make like a proper judgment on if it is or not. I think it is, because you basically, the story, without spoiling everything, because you guys should all play it if you haven't, but like the story kind of makes you question why you're doing things, and someone just tells you to go do something in a similar way to like BioShock does it, where someone tells you to go do something and you do it because it's a video game and that's what you're meant to do. But then with that, then the more and more that it goes on, you do actually start to, as I said, like you start to think, Am I the goodie? Am I the baddie?
There's a video that we used to pass around in game development. It's the Michelin Webb look.
Oh yeah,
one.
100%.
Right.
Yeah,
We're like, are we the baddies?
Yeah.
Like, look at our symbol. Like, it's a very that's a very real problem of game development and designing logos and looks for people.
Yeah, 100%. I think that definitely is 100% the case with Hotline Miami. Because you're going in and you're killing all these different people, and you just go, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, a chicken phoned me up and then told me to go kill all these people and then bring a woman to a car. And I did it very well, but I don't know if I was meant to be doing it or not. I don't know, but...
You're not this suggestible in real life, right?
I don't think so, but I'm sure some people
I don't think
probably,
so wasn't the answer I was looking for.
But that's the thing, if I was that suggestible, I probably wouldn't know that I was that suggestible, to be honest.
Oh, wow, this got meta.
It did,
Do you want to swap seats?
Dreams looks lovely.
Thanks. That's okay, I chose an FPS for mine, so, you know.
Good segue. Abby, what's your pick?
So I'm pretty much, I feel like anybody who knows me knows that like a competitive FPS is probably going to be in my wheelhouse of lists. And I went through my list, and I tried to narrow them all down. And I didn't choose the orange box, because I thought that was like 3-in-1, and it was a little too cheap. So I went for Left 4 Dead. Partially because it's just some of the most fun I've ever had playing a game. I got super competitive with it. It was the same way where like I played with a group of friends. We all came out with stories. Like every time we played, Like, we would come out going like, oh my God, and then this person then just hit the boomer as soon as we were about to do this, and everybody would want to tell their stories the next day, which is one of the things I really love about when you know everybody's really into a game. Let's see, what else makes it amazing? The writing, it's super funny. I think out of all like the competitive shooters I play, like I love the world, I love the humor, and I just like the characters really click, the dialogue is really funny, which you don't always get in a shooter.
Chet Falishek and Eric Walpole.
Yeah, who were amazing.
To Valve. It was one of the first games they did there, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's just like that part of it really kept it feeling like lively and exciting for me. Mike Patton doing the voices of the zombies is a really good call.
Bonkers, yeah.
That was hilarious.
One of the first and only multiplayer games I've ever played, because I've never had the internet connection for it.
Okay.
Or the real, I'm a single player gamer, but it's, so probably the only online experience I've ever had playing against the most insanely good fun I've ever had.
So you're voting for my game for this, my choice.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Good to know. I really miss people cosplaying as the witch at game conventions.
Oh my God.
There'd be like a girl crying in the corner, and you'd be like, "Are you? Oh God!" Like,
That's what we were talking just a few seconds before entering the stage. I stopped playing this game after seeing this character, so I don't get scared too often, but this time I was.
But then it let you play as the zombies, and that was such a nice twist for multiplayer. Like to have such a different, you have like it's a sort of more traditional shooter on one side, and then you actually get to play as the zombies and attack survivors. Like that was clever, and it worked so well.
I think the great thing about it was that you'd have these plans. So things would be kicking off and going really badly, and you go, got an amazing plan, and you get a Molotov, and you go, smash, and you jump out of a window, and like you remember then there's 3 other people involved, and they all go, Dan! And they're all on fire, and you go, oh yeah, I'm all right, I'm on the fire escape. But
and then you always have the friend that's like just not quite as good as everybody else. My partner used to want to play at the time, and I was like, I don't want to be mean, but like you're gonna tank it. So we'd be like, sit on the washer and melee. Your only job is to sit on the washer and melee. Don't move. And then you'd start to see him like poke out the door, and you're like, get back on the washer and melee. I'm a horrible I'm just a horrible girlfriend, by the way.
That sounds good, dude. Like,
but it was good fun.
That's kind of what I need with games like that, because I would be your partner in that. I would be so shit at that, and I was so rubbish at Left 4 Dead. But luckily, I had 3 friends who
carried you.
Nice
so that was you,
And they were like, oh, we're all having a good time. We're all doing our bit.
Except for you. You sit on the washer and melee.
Yeah. I really remember the first time I played it. So we were invited out by Valve. So Valve used to be like super casual with PR. These days, their attitude to PR is they don't do it. But in the days, they did it. But they were like, oh yeah, come to Seattle on your own and come and just sit in a corner of the office and play our new game. Like, they didn't have a big set. They didn't have, like, it wasn't glitzy at all. They just literally just plonked us down in the office with this game. They said, I think they invited us saying it was the developer who'd done a bit of work on Counter-Strike had a new thing. Do we want to come and look at it? And we had no idea what to expect. And it's usually, like, those kind of press trips are a terrible way to demonstrate a game like that, because you're all focused on being professional. You want to be taking notes. You want to, like, gather as much information about the game you can. You're not really super focused on like collaborating as a team or playing with the other people that you're with. You're all a bit competitive as well, because you're all journalists working for different outlets. And we forgot about it within like 10 minutes. We were just completely sucked in.
It's just good fun. And the director, the tension that they build through all the levels, and like, and you just know that's like, oh, they're coming. Like, they just did such a great job of setting up that, that narrative arc for a game, without, for lack of a better word, like a narrative, of setting that up through each one of the levels. Like, it is just sheer joy. And it's one of the first games that I really bought into, like, say like the merch or like the fandom. I had all the posters on my wall. I got like T-shirts for it. It was like, I don't do that for many games, especially because at the time I came from press as well, and it's very rare for a game to sort of suck me into that side of it. But I was like, I'm in. This is perfect for me.
There's the finales of every level as well were just the most incredible thing. Like getting into a chopper or getting onto a boat or whatever was just this amazing crescendo to a point of just utter relief. Something just that's completely fictional, that's all in your head, and it was just the most astonishing thing.
That's a strong argument. I'm glad you're voting for me.
Conrad, what's your pick?
My pick was, I was actually balancing between Dead Space 2 and Heavenly Sword, which is I'm picking Heavenly Sword because my background is artistic, so that was the first game, showed massive features of PlayStation 3.
It was a PS3 launch title, right?
Launch title,
that was exclusive back then. I'm not prepared, but I think it was 2007. And they were showing great camera movement around the characters, so I didn't feel awkward while playing with many different enemies, also with the exclusive boss fight. Narration, nice, cosplay-friendly main character, switching between two characters, controlling the arrow after shooting the crossbow. And beauty around the scene. So, I mean, around this arena, which is usually closed in that kind of game. So they were making challenges in designing this little space that you're fighting in, and also environments, which are very various. And that was the first time I felt that, oh, there is a hope in games, you know, that maybe we'll reach quality of the featured movies. And because back then I was hurt while watching, you know, elbows and everything in 3D. That was very painful back then, and they solved those problems very smart way. And great art director that I always admired, Alessandro Taini, who is painter, classic painter, and you can feel this impact of actual colors, you know. So it's a soft features, but for me it was very important. And also first motion capture, face motion capture and everything like that.
God, yeah, you forget that, don't you?
There were many cutscenes, and of course the game was a bit frustrating because, you know, whenever you got killed during the boss fight, you had to fight all the hordes of enemies, regular enemies, and then boss fight once again. They didn't forget that you got killed, and but still.
So for you, it's like, I've seen what action games are going to look like for
I
the
was
next,
hoping
like, 10 years.
we're going to reach this level. I was, you know, recording short videos, how they manage for light and, you know, bones in 3D, how they move, and I've learned a lot watching that game.
I was interested, you pointed out one of the things about it was a cosplay-friendly lead character. Is that something you look for as like a game artist? Is that something you...
Actually, that's important. Recently, we see that some games are very good, but we don't see the cosplayers around the place. And that was the game. It was so easy to cosplay and so friendly, causing many different things. You know, long hair, characteristic makeup, and movement. Even, you know, you could actually impress that. Cosplay-friendly thing, I think it's quite important in recent years.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I never played Heavenly Sword. It was like...
Haven't.
But have you cosplayed?
Yeah, all the time. every show. No, I never played it. It's like one of those things where...
It's so cheap now, you can do it.
all the launch titles get parceled out to different reviewers, and that was not one that I was on, so yeah. Like, anybody else you played?
Didn't play? Didn't play it, no.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I did.
Oh,
Okay.
But like also
Like,
in that time I played a lot of other launch games. No, I enjoyed it. I just no, I did. I just that was again a long time ago. So I'm like, I feel like I'm bad. I don't have like a ton to add to it.
Yeah, you know, depends.
It certainly was like amazing for Ninja Theory, and I'm really happy because they've been like sticking away doing that kind of game ever since, and they've had, you know, mixed fortunes. They did Enslaved, which was great. They did DMC, which was great, but Capcom didn't like it, and the certain elements of the Devil May Cry fan base didn't like it. They did Hellblade, which has, you know, had a wonderful reaction, and now that Microsoft have snapped them up. So I think I'm really glad it's finally kind of paid off for them.
Yeah. This company is very brave, and I admire that kind of developers. I know product has to sell, but still, if something is memorable and it's some kind of benchmark of quality of breaking the archetypes, and they made a female character very strong.
That's true. Yeah.
And also Hellblade, you know, but it's too fresh to name this game of my 20 years history, my favorite game in 20 years. But
No, it's actually really nice hearing about it from the sort of technical perspective of like this inspired you to like learn more, do more, you know, and you saw the sort of technical side of it. It's like this is where I hope the industry aspires to be.
Yeah, and I think that was their dream.
Yeah.
It was very readable that they wanted to reach some benchmark, and then few people were following them. But I meet very often people who didn't play or didn't even hear about this. Maybe in Poland back then, PlayStation was very expensive and the games were very expensive. But you know, still on the West, people didn't play this game or Enslaved, which was actually also an interesting game. You know, Ninja Theory.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what's your pick?
Well, when I first thought about it, I realised that Half-Life 2 like squeaks in, didn't it? Because that was 2004.
It does, yeah.
Which to me always felt like the culmination of like music and sound effects and gameplay and action all coming together into this perfect little thing. And so my gut reaction was always to say Half-Life 2 to everything, which I know is boring because everyone remembers what a great game that was. And
it is incredible, though.
But actually, something, and you know, for the longest time that would have been my thing. But something quite incredible happened to me with XCOM, and so mine is XCOM 2, because I'd never played an XCOM game before. I didn't when I was a kid and XCOM was fashionable. I was not into the idea of taking turns to do shooting. I was a syndicate kid who wanted to. The idea of stopping and starting didn't make any sense to me in my head, so I never played it and stuff like that. And then I picked up XCOM when they redid it and fell in love, was utterly into it. And I think XCOM 2 is one of those things where they've just done such an amazing job of working out what worked well in the first XCOM and sort of building on it in an interesting way. And in terms of pure hours spent, I've not fallen for a game like that since I was a kid. You know, when I had time on my hands and I would sit there and play something obsessively. And XCOM 2 hit this sort of spot with me where there's nothing else on my Steam library that has playtime into the hundreds, by a margin, and that really, really does. And it has this, and it's all down to this amazing loop where you finish a mission and you think, God, I got out of that one. I just survived that. I'll just do the tidying up bits back at the base, and then I'll stop. And you do your tidying up bits back at the base, and you spend all your, you know, you get all your kit set up for the next thing, and and then by that point you're like, I could do one more. And you do one more, and you just squeak through that again, and you go, fucking, I'll just squeak through that. Yeah. Just do the base stuff. And then I'll stop. And then and by the time you've done the base stuff, you go, oh, I do one more of those, and then or something like plot critical happens, and or you know they do a special level and something like that, and then you get sucked in. And there are more, you know, like you were saying about Left 4 Dead stories. There are more sort of stories I have of escaping chrysalids, or the first time I can't remember the name of that, the spinning disc fuckers, the cyber discs. Yeah. Because I never played it originally, never played the original XCOM, and when one of those came up, and you meet a new enemy in XCOM, and it comes over, and you go, it's a spinning disc thing, all right, I'll shoot that with my pistol, and then it just expands out into this massive mass of guns, and just destroys all of your team, and they're all dead, and you just go, that was amazing. I didn't expect that to happen.
Did you do that thing of naming all of the characters after your friends?
No.
I was about to say, so even if you don't have stories, you can just name it after all of your friends. So if they don't have stories, you can just tell stories with them.
So I love XCOM 2. It's a brilliant game. It's like tactically just absolute genius, so well balanced. On one of my playthroughs, I had a result that was so bad I couldn't go back, and it's because I'd named it off. I'd named all of the characters after my friends. I had a lot of my best characters, and I had a really rough mission. And like all of my best friends were getting killed. Like they were not only like my best snipers. It was like Ellie Gibson, who I used to work with. She was my hottest sniper. She got taken out. Like my mate Dom, he's sort of the sweetest guy imaginable. He was a wonderful tank. He got killed, and it was just
dead.
I literally
all dead.
I just couldn't go back to it. I couldn't. I should go and start with a new save, but that save. I just can't. It was too much.
I have this one recurring character.
It's such a silly thing, right?
It's ridiculous.
Just to name a character.
So
after
if you
somebody.
play on Iron Man mode and they're gone, And I have one recurring character that I allowed myself, which is that the game auto-generated for me this guy called Ian Daniels, who was a British. He had like a little pencil moustache, and he was a sniper. And like when the shit hit the fan, you could guarantee Ian Daniels from like 800 yards away would save everyone's ass with an amazing shot. And when he died, I was just for about a minute like that, just staring at the screen, just in agony. Ian's died. Just to explain this to the rest of the crew. Sit down, I've got some bad news. But we've lost Ian. and so like, whenever I play now, I have a rule that I don't mess with the names and the characters' faces and stuff unless they've got stupid hair. I will change stupid hair. The haircuts are all right, but like. And Ian Daniels, I will recreate every time. It's like a good luck charm. If I start a new game and I get a sniper who's like a white male, I will go, Ian, you're back in the team.
Is it the same Ian though? Is it like a descendant of Ian? You'll never be as good as your dad.
That's the other thing. I can never quite get the face right either.
Right.
He's I try so hard, but he's gone forever.
I liked my friend who played it, who also felt the need to describe to us, as we were all on his squad, like everything that we did wrong or bad, or how we died,
really
or who was good, or like who was worth having on the team. I really like the performance judgment when you're not even actually playing the game.
That's almost like having a dream about a friend, and when you have a dream and you have an argument with a friend, you come in the next day and you're like, you were such a prick of my dream. Like that you've got these like weird misplaced feelings of anger for something. Like, you were really rubbish yesterday.
You fucked up that shot or something wrong.
You killed Ian.
No, Ian.
If it weren't for you, Ian would still be alive.
How amazing that game can do that, though.
I know. And I think that's the thing. It's like, and there's so many bits where just like it'll line up a shot and it will say like there's a 72% chance of making that shot, and you just sit there for like 10 minutes going, and like looking at all like if he dies, if he misses, how badly does this go? And you go, okay, what other choices have I got? And you go around all the other choices and you go, not many. And you go, 72%, that's good. Or like even worse, like 95%.
What would Ian do? What would Ian do?
If only Ian was here now, he'd know what to do. Yeah, and then you take the shot, and it's just such a joy, and I can understand 100% why. I always thought that for the last decade, for almost the entire time that Eurogamer has been going, if you asked me what game I most wanted to come out in the entire world, it would have been Half-Life 3, because I was such a huge fan of Half-Life, and you forget like what Half-Life 2 did in a lot of ways, how many different things it did, and what an incredible game changer Half-Life 2 was. So Half-Life 3 was always my go-to thing. And since I played XCOM 2, if you ask me now, Half-Life 3 is the second down on my list. Because XCOM 3 is the day they announced
game.
That's it.
Plus, that one might actually happen, so that's an improvement in your life as well. So my pick, and you would think that I would have to, professional journalist, I would have to think really hard about this and think about a list of 20 amazing games I played. I didn't even have to think for a second. There could only be one game, and that game is World of Warcraft. And the reason for that is the first time I played that game was, what is it now, 14 years since it launched in Europe, early 2005. And the last time I played it was yesterday. And I don't think I've had more than a year, maybe a year and a half, that I've gone without playing that game over the last 14 years.
Wow. I
love it. I absolutely love it. And I could, like, if I ever get asked what my desert island game is, like, assuming that there's an internet connection on the desert island, it's the only one, because like, I know that if I had to only play one game, that's the only game I would ever need. I could play it for dozens of hours. But it's kind of hard to separate out, because a lot of it is because I think it's a really, really good game. And a lot of it is just because of the memories of the early days. And this is like, if you've been into massively multiplayer gaming and you've ever been really involved with a large group of friends in one of those games at its height, it is a gaming experience like no other. So I remember it nearly tanked my career as a games journalist as well, actually, because I just gone full-time freelance. I'd just taken the risk. So I'd been doing games journalism on the side alongside my day job, and then I'd gone full-time freelance, and then my editor at Edge magazine that I was working for sent me a copy of World of Warcraft and said, you should play this. We're playing it as a group of friends. It's really fun. I was like, oh, OK, I'll give it a go. I played it for like the first 10 levels. I was like, this is really slow and boring. I don't get it. And then I looked up, and it was 2 months later, and I was still in my pajamas because I didn't have a job. And I was like, oh, dear. What I did is I turned it to my advantage, and I became a journalist specialising in MMOs, and that saved my bacon.
Specialising in my character on World of Warcraft.
I did, no joke, I did an interview with all the members of my guild about World of Warcraft for Edge. But, so like, it was an incredible time. The game was really tough, and if you played the World of Warcraft Classic demo that they released at BlizzCon last year, you'll know that it's really jarring going back to the game as it was in 2004 now. But it was I can't even explain it. Like, I had my character was an engineer. That's one of the professions you can have in the game. Like, early on, you get a recipe to make a mechanical squirrel pet, which is completely pointless, doesn't do anything, follows you around. And I went on a mission to build one of these pets for every member of my guild. Aww. Like, took huge amounts of resources. Everyone, I would buy the little wrapping paper you could get from vendors and send it to them in the mail in like gift wrapped. I had, for some reason...
Did they like it? What were they like? When you sent it to them, they were like, yeah, cheers on.
I don't know, because we were all so excited. Like, oh my God, it's a mechanical squirrel.
We've all done this mission, Ollie. We don't need... We've all got one already. Why have you got us more squirrels? They don't do anything. You know that.
I had like the lyrics to Uptown Top Ranking by Althea and Donna, classic reggae tune, set in a macro so I could just spam guild chat with them well, I've got no idea why. Like,
did they like playing with you?
Yeah, we were all it was because it was such a sense of discovery, because the world was enormous, it was vast. Yeah. The leveling at that time was really slow, so it was like a really long road to get to level 60, which was the cap. You were discovering everything really slowly. It was going to be like weeks and weeks of play until you had enough money to buy a mount. It was, but it was such a sense of adventure. The first time you took a flight from one town to another and you could see the world from up high was incredible. And they made a number of incredibly smart decisions with that game. One was, they said, you're never going to see a load screen when you're in the world. That's really important. You'd be amazed how many MMOs since haven't done that. And like, you can walk, unless you're like flying from one continent to another, you can walk everywhere in the game. It's one contiguous space. And it's huge. It's absolutely vast. The zones are really beautifully done. One of the best choices I think they made was that they, and still, I don't think anybody else has done this, they sync the clock to the real clock. So the in-game clock, it's a real full 24-hour day. If you only play the game at night, it's always night in-game. And that gives you such a profound sense of immersion in the world. Yeah. You feel so connected to it. And it was just such an incredible voyage of discovery. Over time, obviously, the game doesn't mean that to me anymore. Now I play it. It's pure comfort gaming. It's like, it's like eating mashed potato. It's just like, oh, it's so relaxing to play. It's just hardwired into me. But it is a really beautifully designed game as well. Like, the character classes are all great. They really pop. The skills are brilliant because it's Blizzard, and that's true of all of their games. And all of that is the foundation of it. But I can't actually separate out in my head if I love that game so much because it is brilliant, because it's really well designed, because it's been so well updated, because most of the expansions have been great, because they've taken it on a great journey. Yes, it's not the same game it was. It's much more accessible now. You're never going to get that same kind of sense of urgency and immersion from it. I don't know if it's that or just how amazing a time I had with 20, 30 people in a guild just mucking around and exploring that world and discovering it together at the same time. And a game world on a scale that we'd never even seen before. But I think what it really boils down to me is the world itself. I just think it's an amazing piece of world building. The art is pretty simple, it's very colorful, it's very cartoony, but it's such a place. You go to I don't know, Arathi Highlands, the Barrens, Stranglethorn Vale, Orgrimmar, Stormwind City. These are real places to me.
I'm sure they're real.
Have any of the rest of you played World of Warcraft?
No, never touched it.
No. I used to play MUDs. So on Telnet and stuff. So World of Warcraft was always a very shaky one for me because I know how much time I sunk into text-based MMOs. So it was really I'm oh God, if you add in all the other trappings, much like yourself, I would never leave. So it's a self-preservation. I just shouldn't devote more time than I've had to for work and other things into it.
Yeah, it is scary, and I say, it did.
I also play D&D every week.
Right.
So I have fulfilled some of that.
Yeah. I love as well that it is whatever you want it to be. If you want to muck around just making mechanical squirrels, you can do that. If you want to like run really challenging dungeons, you can do that. If you want to just enjoy the storylines, the fun storylines they built into the world, you can do that.
Has your group that you play with like changed over the years, or do you have a lot of those original members?
No,
like, how is that social experience?
Mostly they've gone. To be honest, I'm mostly solo now. I don't think there's many people. I do know other people who still play, but they're not the same people. They're on different servers.
Do you send them
because it's an old
squirrels?
school online game, I can't necessarily link up with those. But like, no, I'm sort of one of the last standard bearers.
Have
really.
you ever thought like put the old band back together, like and get everybody in just for like one last raid?
Have you ever tried to organize like?
So I just told you I played D&D.
Right.
I actually still play D&D with the same group that I've started playing with when I was like 13 or 14 years old.
That's amazing.
And we just started playing again a few months ago, and we try to play weekly, but it is arranging a group of adults with responsibilities, time to play a role-playing game for like
Also,
even 2 hours a week is near impossible.
Also, some of those people went way deeper than I did, and now forbidden from ever playing it again on pain of divorce, / being disowned by their children, / losing their jobs.
Amazing.
But no, I absolutely love it. Okay, we should probably wrap this up now. But what I want to do to wrap it up is see what you guys think of our choices. So what I want you to do is give a clap and a cheer for each of the games. I'll read them out just for the game that either you think is you would totally agree with, or that you thought we made the best case or the best argument for. So let's do it in order that we went. So who wants to make a noise for Hotline Miami?
A couple of whoops.
A couple of whoops.
Couple of whoops.
2 or 3 whoops.
Yeah.
How about Left 4 Dead?
I'll take it.
Heavenly Swords. XCOM 2. Strong reaction. Strong reaction. World of Warcraft.
It's close. Between you guys.
I think
for Ian Daniels'
Screaming
sake.
is
I think Ian Daniels would
in
have loved
memory of
to.
Ian Daniels, and because we loved it on the panel as well, XCOM 2. But that's it. Thank you very much, Conrad, Abby, Gav, Dan.
Thank you.
All of you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the day at Rezzed.